All commercial and economic sanctions imposed on the Republic of Niger have been lifted by sub-regional bloc ECOWAS. Now, the country last year deposed its democratically elected leader, Mohamed Bazoum, prompting a drastic response from the ECOWAS, which had declared zero tolerance for unconstitutional changes in government. Now, in the last few days, Niger, together with Mali and Burkina Faso, announced that they were exiting the regional bloc owing to inhumane sanctions. But at an extraordinary summit yesterday in Abuja, Nigeria, ECOWAS says it was lifting all sanctions off Niger while expecting that established protocols of free movement within the bloc will remain unchanged. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar Aliu Toure, at a news conference today, which happened yesterday, explained that the decision is aimed at addressing existential threats facing the region, as he called on the junta-led nations who were planning to quit to actually stay.
With regard to the withdrawal of the three countries, the authority notes that the withdrawal will have political, socio-economic, financial, and institutional implications for the three countries as well as for ECOWAS as a region. The authority recognizes that the withdrawal will automatically affect the immigration status of the citizens, as they may be required to obtain visas to travel around the region. Citizens may no longer be able to reside or set up businesses under ECOWAS arrangements and may be subject to diverse national laws. The three countries will cease to use ECOWAS passports, ECOWAS biometric national identity cards, and the region-wide ECOWAS brown card vehicle insurance. Reviewing the implications at the institutional level, the authority has resolved to lift with immediate effect the following measures imposed on the Republic of Niger. A, closure of land and air borders between ECOWAS countries and Niger to be lifted. No-fly zone of all commercial flights to and from Niger is to be lifted.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, who doubles as chairperson of the ECOWAS heads of state, says the existential threat faced by the sub-region demands that leaders re-examine their approach to constitutional order.
We are gathered here to address present developments in our sub-regions surrounding the peace and security, as well as the political situation in the Republic of Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and Mali. We must approach these issues with a sense of unity and commitment to the well-being of our people. Permit me to say that the complexity of the issues at hand necessitate a comprehensive and collaborative approach. Accordingly, it is incumbent upon also to engage in constructive dialogue, exercise prudent judgment, and work collectively towards finding enduring solutions that will lead to a sustainable peace, security. The gravity of our responsibility as leaders in these challenging times cannot be overstated.
But what's the status of compliance to the sanctions imposed on Niger? My colleague Blessed Soga of the Foreign Affairs Desk joins us live with more. Blessed, what has changed, regarding the sanctions imposed on Niger? Tell us the status of adherence, for instance.
Well, basically nothing has changed. And in fact, the fear is that things are getting worse. It's the reason for which we're seeing the sub-regional body ECOWAS come now with a much more softened tone on what the crisis has always been. The fact that these Sahelian countries, including Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, indicating their readiness to exit the bloc. In fact, a statement which was released by the three countries gives a clear indication that they are out of ECOWAS. But if you're going by Article 91 and the dictates of the constitutional provisions of ECOWAS, that would take a period of 1 year. It's the reason for which we've not seen an outright exit by Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso out of this, regional bloc. But the concern now has been mainly about Niger. The fact that they still have President Mohamed Bazoum, who was deposed last year, still in detention. All we've had is his son being released, after some negotiations by the leader of the Republic of Togo, Faure Gnassingbé, who's still trying as much as possible to engage the military regime in Niger and to try and get some remedial measures to the challenge that ECOWAS is facing now. What the challenge is that ECOWAS has placed sanctions on Niger. That also applies to Guinea, Mali as well, all for, toppling the democratically elected government in their countries. But after the announcement was made by these three countries that the sanctions were not fair and that they were exiting the bloc, ECOWAS feels now that it will be significantly impacted, given the fact that these three countries control about 10% of their GDP. So they would need to handle this with a lot of caution. It's the reason for which we're seeing this reprobate approach of trying as much as possible to extend the olive branch to these three countries, negotiate with them, and try and get them onto the path of democracy. Guinea, Mali were all on the table for many who are looking out for a return to democracy, but things are getting worse as the military regime also there has dissolved the transitional government. It's the reason for which many experts are raising fears that this is not getting any better. And many, especially working under the network of the West African Network for Peace Building, comprising some 750, as many as 750 civil society organizations, are making the argument that a lot of military takeovers might happen in the sub-region because these regimes are getting emboldened and that ECOWAS is not able to readily respond to all of these threats that are facing the sub-region.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Blessed Suga is with our Foreign Affairs Desk here at Joy News. And joining us is also Dr. Yao Gebe. He is actually head of International Relations Department at Wisconsin University here in Accra. For more on the story, do we know what might have led to the lifting of the ban in the first place?
Thank you very much. I am of the candid opinion that the recent announcement by the three countries, that's Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, might have prompted the ECOWAS to take that rather rash decision. It is also to have to do with the issue of the integrity of the ECOWAS. We are having 15 countries as members of the ECOWAS, and these crises in the sub-region definitely have affected the position, the activities of the ECOWAS, and therefore necessarily there should be some kind of reaction to those sanctions that have moved the three countries to take that rather unfortunate decision to leave the ECOWAS. So these are actions and reactions from both sides of the pendulum. One on the side of the ECOWAS, the other the position of those three countries.
Okay, so now let's look at the implication of the decision by ECOWAS. Some are arguing that this is actually going to embolden other, countries who are considering these military takeovers, knowing very well that after some few weeks, ECOWAS would come back and say, well, we are lifting the bans and all that. What do you make of the implication of the decision by ECOWAS at this point in time?
Let's look at the fundamental issue. Let us never overlook the fact that majority of the member states of ECOWAS are economically poor. Structurally, they have not been working well, and they have challenges not only economically, but even politically. And they were just hanging in there. And of course, related to this is also their international standing. Majority of these countries, they are indebted. Apart from that, they have ongoing crises pertaining to civil conflicts, insurgency and what have you, terrorism and what have you. All these things have implications for their own well-being. I'm talking of those three countries. In fact, we may even add Guinea. So those are fundamental issues that confronted some of them and then led to these coup d'etat. Now, you cannot say that a country, a member country of the ECOWAS has staged a coup d'etat, therefore you are going to intervene militarily as we were deciding earlier on last year. Because of the sanctions imposed on them, I had the opportunity to talk to some of their top officials. And the sanctions were biting on them. It was actually dragging them down. So for them, the easy way out was to decide to leave the ECOWAS. The point you raised, that if they decide to take coups in the sub-region, maybe even after victory, some other nations or some other leaders, military leaders decide to take coup d'etat. And then those coup d'etats are successful. And ECOWAS decided to impose sanctions. And then because they reacted that they will be leaving the organization, therefore you quickly organize and tell them that, oh, the sanctions have been removed. Is that going to solve the problems we are having in the sub-region? No. So I say fundamentally we have problems, we have challenges. And ECOWAS must actually sit down and look at the challenges confronting member states. It has nothing to do with whether coup d'etats are waived or sanctions are imposed.
All right.
How is ECOWAS doing? Is it a viable organization? Are we able to meet our objectives? Is the integration project still on? What are the targets? What are we meeting our protocols?
So which means, Doc, if I may come in, which means that ECOWAS would have to look at the issue in a broader perspective across the region, look at leadership failures and challenges and address them, the long-term approach way. Is that not it?
Thank you very much. And just to add to that point, we're talking about democratic dispensation in the sub-region. It's not just an issue of saying that I'm a democratic. It's not just an issue of election. But how democratic are these nations? So that the moment some member state stages a coup d'etat, then the point is that, or the claim is that they have turned down or they have gone against democracy. Is that really what is happening?
All right.
Are these nations really democratic? Or is it just facade? So I'm saying that there are fundamental issues that we are not tackling in the sub-region.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Doc. Respectfully, we appreciate your insight on this particular subject. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on Joy Newsroom. Now.